Bad chest. February 12, 1993, the case of James Bulger. This might be me.
On the afternoon of February 12, 1993, 10-year-olds John Venables and Robert Thompson would enter a shopping mall in the northern part of Liverpool with the intention of kidnapping a small child, something they attempted not once, but twice. Inside a department store, a woman noticed that two boys were trying to get her 2-year-old son's attention. Moments later, she realized he was missing. The woman began calling his name and ran outside, where she found Venables and Thompson beckoning the boy to follow them. When Venables saw the mother, he told the boy to go back to her, and they both vanished. Mere luck had saved that child, but also sealed the terrible fate of another. Soon after the aborted abduction, Venables and Thompson were loitering around a candy stand when they noticed 2-year-old James Bulger by the door of a nearby butcher's shop. With Bulger's mother momentarily distracted, they got the toddler to come with them. Venables then took him by the hand and led him away. James and his abductors were caught by a surveillance camera leaving the mall at 3:42 p.m. By this time, James's mother Denise was panicking. She quickly found mall security personnel and described her son and what he was wearing. They announced the boy's name over the loudspeakers, but there was no sign of him, and he was then reported missing to the local police station. After the boys had led James away from the mall, he began crying out for his mother. They ignored him and continued down to a secluded area near a canal where they dropped him on his head and left him on the ground crying. A woman passing by noticed the child but did nothing. The boys then called for James to come, and he still followed. His forehead was bruised and cut, causing his abductors to pull his jacket hood over his head to hide the injury. They then walked away from the canal and through a residential street, where one witness later reported noticing a small child crying while being forcefully led by 2 older boys. She didn't report the incident, but gave a statement 5 days later.
I've heard people saying, why didn't someone do this and why didn't someone do that? But you know, now the guilt's there. I don't think I'll ever get this guilt. I seen them. I heard the baby crying. And I watched them. Oh, God, I watched them. I've got to look out this window every day. I see these kids. I go to bed and I see these kids.
A second witness also noticed the trio while driving, but only reported the incident when the story hit the front page of the national news 3 days later.
I went to the police that same day, on the Monday, and reported the incident. And I said to the police at that stage, you know, I hope that it wasn't him, because I couldn't live with the thought that I could have done something about it.
At some time between 5:45 and 6:30 p.m., Thompson and Venables brought the exhausted 2-year-old to a railway. When they arrived, the boys hesitated, perhaps reconsidering what they were about to do, and briefly turned away from the embankment. But then they both turned back toward the privacy of the area, and the brutal torture and murder of James Bulger occurred. Eventually, the 2 boys placed James's dead body across the train tracks in hopes of making the whole thing look like an accident. They then abandoned the scene before a train came and severed the toddler in 2. With little to go on, Bulger's parents were initially the prime suspects, but when police saw the CCTV footage from the shopping mall, the story went nationwide and the search for Bulger intensified. His body was discovered 2 days after his disappearance. An anonymous phone call to the police then implicated John Venables and Robert Thompson as the killers. The caller told police that Venables and Thompson were both absent from school on the
Is this TOS incoming? TOS seen? No. Okay.
Friday of the abduction. Both boys were then taken in for questioning.
He said that the 2 of you were in the Strand and that you saw the little boy.
We never.
That's the God's honest truth.
God's honest truth.
Wait, who are these? What does that mean? Venables? Are those the kids that adopted? Oh, that's his name? That's his... What the fuck is that name? I thought it was like a synonym to culprits or something, you know, what is this name, dude?
never. He was too scared. He was probably too scared.
And he said that you took him by the hand and led him out of the Strand shops.
He never. He's a liar.
Calm down.
Bro, how do you deal with something like this as a cop, right?
It's alright, come on, look. It's alright, come on.
What the fuck?
I never got the boy. I never killed him, Mum. Yeah, we was, but we never saw any kids there. We never got any kids.
So you were in Bootle New Strand?
Was you in Bootle Strand?
Yeah, but we never got a kid, Mum. We never got
Mrs.
a kid.
Venables, would you... I must ask you not to get angry with it. A short while ago, as is detailed on your custody record out there, you had a conversation with your mum and you then requested that myself and Dave Tanner come into the room. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was it you told us?
That I killed James. We took him on the railway track and started throwing bricks at him.
Why did he throw bricks at him?
No.
Did it make him fall over?
No.
So he's saying he threw the same house brick at him, full in the face, and he didn't fall over?
Yeah, he did fall over. And he just kept on getting back up again. He wouldn't stay down.
What was he saying while he was doing all this?
He was saying,
Classic
"Stay down."
lol W.
I don't know.
Why did he want him to stay down?
I don't know. Wanted them dead, probably. So we walked up to him and we were walking around with him and I took his hand.
Well, whose idea was it to walk towards him?
Mine.
Was it? What did
Then
he
it was Robert's idea to kill him. And we went outside to the canal.
What for?
Don't know, we said let's throw him in the water. He was persuading him, he said kneel down and let's look at the water and all that, but he wouldn't. Because when we wouldn't get him down, Robert picked him up and threw him on the floor and that's where he got his bump on his head.
Where'd you go with him after that?
The reservoir where that woman spotted us.
Is young James walking with you by this time, or are you still having to pull him?
And he was walking with us.
Was he upset, or had he made friends with you?
He was all nice.
I know the truth. I believe I know the truth.
I was there.
That's
You
right.
waved.
Correct, but I know that a lot of things that have gone on.
Yeah, well, do you know it was me that killed him? It wasn't. I never even killed him.
Okay, so yeah, that's.
Bobby,
I mean, are you not gonna question them about like living situations or anything?
Just tell the truth. James threw a brick in his face. Don't know.
right, try and stop. Right, we're getting there, aren't we? We're getting to the truth now.
Yeah, well,
I'm interested in how this happened, you know?
He grabbed up the baby's hand and just walked around the strand. And then you let him go loose then.
Did he?
When we were by the church, you let him go.
And you were John then? You shook your head. You shook your head.
Yeah, I told him to take him back.
You did what?
Told him to take him back.
You told him to take
I
it
don't
back?
know.
All right,
Wait.
Bobby. No, you're not getting all the blame. We're just asking your son. We're trying to find
we
the truth.
usually always get the blame.
Wait a minute, Bobby. Listen. Just calm yourself down for a minute, okay? You alright?
He said he wants us more.
So what? What did you say to him?
What did you say?
Yeah.
We're going to try and find us, Mum.
Where did you leave him then?
On a reservoir place.
I don't believe you would have left him there. You took him away from where the reservoir is and walked down somewhere else.
Where?
Going towards the police station.
I never killed him.
The trials of John Venables and Robert Thompson commenced 9 months later, and they were both convicted of murder, making them the youngest to be found guilty of the offense in over 250 years.
2 days later, on Monday the 22nd of February, the boys were taken to South Sefton Magistrates Court in Bootle for a hearing.
Is it really murder though? Doesn't murder have to be planned? It is planned. Only first degree murder. Ah. So another degree then.
Media interest in the case was enormous. Television.
It was planned to kill someone, but not specific. But like, was it planned to kill someone even? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they were like, oh, first they were like pushing him into, or wanted to trick him and push him into the river or something, right? You know, I feel like they're so young that it's like impulses at the very fucking time, you know.
Crews and photographers from all over the world came to Bootle to get a shot at the boys. Public anger too had been building for some time in Liverpool, both against the boys and the intrusiveness of the media. A menacing crowd gathered outside the court, waiting for the...
I feel like it's like one of those things where you like, where they're they could be panicking at the very time. I'm not saying that it was the case, but you know, after they like threw rocks at him and oh shit, he's gonna tell the parents or something, you know, like in the moment kind of thing, or bricks or whatever the fuck they threw at him.
Boys to come out.
Wait, they're asking them to let the boys go?
As the boys left in the transit van, bricks were being thrown, people were running up to the side of the transit van, hammering on the side with their fists. The boys, I know, didn't like that one bit.
Okay, lads, come on.
There's been a backlash against horror videos as Britain searches for answers in the wake of the James Bulger murder and the life sentences on his schoolboy killers. The case has already split the church and the government in a damaging row over who's to blame. But there's alarm now with a death threat from an uncle of little James.
New Flowers today marked painful memories of the Bulger trial as politicians and churchmen blamed one another in their search for reasons for the murder. Feelings everywhere were running high today, nowhere more than in a phone-in on BBC Television's Good Morning with Anne and Nick programme, when James Bulger's uncle, who was the one called to identify the child's body, threatened to kill the two boys.
Looks to me like everyone's making excuses for them, and there is no excuses, Anne. They took the child, they battered them to death.
This video is very depressing. P.S. Bring back $3 donors. Since you made me donate $10 in order for you to hear my communications, I may as well give you a link. Feels good, man. Clap. Love you, Forsen. Come watch.
Come watch.
In jail forever. Do you ever get old?
No, I don't.
We'll be waiting, and when we get hold of them, we'll kill them.
Why did they do it? You know, what was in their minds to do it? Obviously, we couldn't answer that question at that time.
In the Commons, some MPs, struggling to find any kind of action to express their revulsion, turned on horror videos that might have influenced the boys. The children had watched cartoons in this video shop straight after the killing. A month before, John Venables' father had rented Child's Play 3, a mainstream 18-rated black comedy showing a demonic doll being battered to death. The Bulger trial judge surprised the police investigating the case when he suggested violent videos may have played a part in the case. The police said they had no evidence to suggest it. However, responding to criticism, Sky Television said it's dropping tomorrow night's planned screening of Child's Play 3, while another video chain said they were burning 10,000 copies.
The youngest murderers this century were driven at speed to an indefinite future in custody, detained at Her Majesty's pleasure.
The sentence that has been passed is the only sentence that the court could pass. They recognise that, but no sentence the court could pass would ever bring James back, and nor, in their view, could it ever properly punish those two boys for what they did.
They were both given an indefinite sentence, which has no maximum, but has a minimum determined on a case-by-case basis. In this case, it was just 8 years, and despite public outrage, they would end up serving this minimum sentence, and were each released in 2001, when they were both 18 years old.
Lord Wolfe has decided the tariff should expire today. He says the boys, both 18, are genuinely remorseful, and further detention wouldn't be constructive.
It was a terrible offence, but they were only children. They were only just criminally responsible when it occurred, and it has to take into account the undoubted progress which they've made.
James Bulger's mother, Denise Fergus, said she was shocked and disgusted by the decision. It means her son's killers could be out in a matter of months.
I'll never forgive them for what they've done, never. I'll take the hate for them to my grave.
They were given new identities and granted legal anonymity for life due to the public fury that surrounded the case, and the danger of citizens hunting them down in order to take vengeance. In 2010, John Venables was taken back to prison for downloading child pornography of male toddlers. He served 3 years in prison and was released in 2013, only to be brought back again 4 years later, after a pedophile manual that provided instructions on having sex with kids was discovered on his computer. He was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison.
I'm more fearing now that someone is going to mistaken someone else's Venables and do someone who's innocent harm. That's my biggest fear now.
Do you trust that the authorities can monitor him properly?
No, definitely not. They couldn't monitor him the first time. What makes them so sure they're going to monitor him now? They haven't got a clue. I think they're not doing the jobs properly.
Where did they spend their time? Where did they serve the time? The kids. Jail? Yeah, but clearly not like a normal prison with grown-ups. Juvenile prisons, like even a juvenile prison would be fucked up to put them, right? Or, according to the legal system.
They've got jobs there to do, and they're not doing them.
I mean, they're fucked up.
They let them slip through the fingers the first time now, so no doubt
you can expect them not to get fucking killed in a juvenile prison either. When grown-ups on the fucking street wanted to kill them, you know what I mean? If they were trying to, you know, protect their rights.
And again, he got away with so much. He's going to think he's untouchable again, and he's going to go and do even worse.
What happened with the other kid? The Thompson kid. Was there? Did he do anything else? Nothing. He died. Became Prime Minister. God damn, that's fucked. In 250 years, the youngest one to commit murder. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Yeah. Damage ESP people 1 year, dude.